What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I'm in a very good mood. Because you see, the lovely folks over at Square Enix have gone and done that thing they've done a couple of times before, and for which I'm very grateful. They've gone and given me a Final Fantasy TCG spoiler to share with all you lovely ladies and gentlemen. And it is actually the first ever card we've seen in the game for Dracoknight. I know! For anyone that doesn't follow obscure Final Fantasy games, it's an enemy in Type 0. Cool! And I did check, it is the first one ever. There's no weird obscure promo card I've gone and forgotten about. So let's go and take a look at it. And what we've got here is a free cost water forward with 7,000 power. Okay, so far so standard. If you go and have a look at free cost water forwards, quite frankly, a whole bunch of them have 7,000 power. It's not particularly high, it's not particularly low. It's not really particularly anything. It is about what we would expect. So if we're going to be loving this card, we are going to need some kind of skill to make us super happy. Well, we got a skill. When Dracoknight is put from the field into the break zone, you may search for one card named Dracoknight and add it to your hand. It is worth pointing out, I didn't say this before, this is a non-unique character, so you can have multiple of them out, which is quite nice. So, essentially what we've got here is it replenishes itself. Goes from the field into the break zone. Oh, let's go and search for another one, pop it in my hand. You're not playing it for free. You've still got to pay to actually play the replacement, but you're still getting the card, and it's still giving you access to more fours as you go through the game. If you've got the resources to pay, this is going to be a good thing, because it means you're replenishing your fours. It stops you running out. We've all had those games where you just can't draw your forwards, and it's a little bit sad, and those end up being games that you lose. Well, great news, ladies and gentlemen. With Dracoknight, one goes down and another one comes to take its place. Also, shout out to the lovely dudes at Square Enix who give me these reveals, because the last card they gave me made me want to go and play Final Fantasy Tactics A2, and now I'm like, well, guess I need to go and play Final Fantasy Type 0. And I feel like they might just be messing with me and trying to get me to go and play obscure Final Fantasy spin-offs. And you know what? Might work, honestly. So what we need to do is take a look at this in the context of other cards, other things. Because actually, right now, Water Earth decks are pretty popular. They are cards that are seeing a bunch of play. The thing is, Water Earth actually have a couple of really good forwards that are dual type Water and Earth. So you've got, for instance, Sarah Mobius, 2 cost 5,000 power, and you can either choose a forge you control and a forge your opponent controls and get them to deal damage equal to their power to the other, or just draw a card. You've got Sophie, another 2-cost card, 4,000 power, and for each forward other than Sophie you control, she gets an extra 2,000 power. For each water forward other than Sophie you control, she gets an extra 2,000 power. And at the end of each of your turns, if Sophie has 10,000 power or more, you draw a card and Sophie deals your opponent 1 point of damage. So clearly they are very, very good cards that are seeing play for pretty good reasons. If we look at pure water forwards, we've got stuff like Lena, more expensive as a 5 cost with no more power actually, you're still talking 7,000 power. But when Lena enters a field, you choose a water forward of cost 2 or less in your break zone, and you play it. So yeah, it's a bit more expensive, but it's not really. And then you've got your Arise that lets you choose a forward other than light or dark in your break zone and play it onto the field, which is clearly a little bit good as well. Or we could look at some cheaper forwards like Porom, which has an EX burst. When Porom is put from the field into the break zone, you choose a summon in your break zone and add it to your hand. Or Minwoo, 4 cost 7,000 power, so slightly more expensive here. But Minwoo, when enters the field, you reveal the top 5 cards of your deck and you add a summon among them to your hand. And when Minwoo attacks, you may cast one summon of cost 4 or less without paying the cost. So clearly in summons decks, these are going to be ones you want to be having to play around with. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is a new common non-unique card, which is going to go and overtake all of those cards. What I am absolutely going to tell you is that stats-wise, it's what we would expect, and it is a way for you to chain your forwards. If you want to be getting them, if you want to be making sure you've got one to replace the one that just went down, this is absolutely there for you, but that's what it does. That's the hook of the card. If you're looking for anything else, you might end up being a little bit disappointed, but if you're looking for a pretty cheap water forward, that when it goes into the break zone, you're going to be able to go and get another one to replace it, going to be honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, this one might be right up your alley, and if nothing else, we've just added another character that we've never seen before to the Final Fantasy TCG, and that alone is pretty cool. But now it's over to you guys. I want to know what you think about this. I want to know how much play you think it's going to see, if any. I want to know all the different ways you think it could be used. And I should say, massive shout out once more to the lovely folks over at Square Enix for letting me do the reveal. Those dudes are awesome. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi. That's where we talk about a whole bunch of games, including Final Fantasy. And do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, and all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.